So as we all know, some states in the US has already opened, like Georgia, Texas, and Florida. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and check how the rest of the world is doing against coronavirus. What countries are extending their lockdowns, and what countries are lifting their lockdown? What countries are successful against coronavirus, and what are the lessons that we can take from them? So if you're curious about these questions, let's go ahead and feed your curiosity. As of May 1st, 2020, there are 3.3 million confirmed cases of coronavirus worldwide. 235,000 people have died, and over 1 million people have recovered. So we can say things are getting slightly better worldwide. So let's go ahead and see how these countries are performing against coronavirus.
Let's start with Italy. Few weeks ago, it was the worst affected nation by coronavirus. But now, look at the graph. Daily new cases are declining. It reached its peak on March 19, and active cases there also reached its peak. And we are already getting good news from Italy. Some regions are already easing restrictions this week. Kids, clothes stores, stationery, bookstores are some of the businesses that got permission from the government to open back up.
Now let's take Taiwan's example. Firstly, Taiwan is a neighboring country of China, so it should have been affected really badly because it's so close to China. But they only have 429 confirmed cases as of May 1st. Only 6 deaths and 324 people have already recovered. When in fact, the first case in Taiwan was confirmed 120 days ago. Believe it or not, there were no lockdowns in Taiwan, and the restaurants, bars, and schools are still all open. So what did Taiwan do exactly to become so successful against the virus? Number one, early reaction. When they found out that there is a mystery virus that emerged in Wuhan region of China on December 31st, Taiwan immediately started screening visitors coming from Wuhan, China. So they took an action even before Wuhan went in a lockdown. Shortly after, they also banned all the flights coming from China on February 6th. That is the reason why the outbreak never got out of their hands. And whatever few cases they had in Taiwan, they performed efficient testing and had a brilliant contact tracing system for them.
Another successful example is South Korea, but from a different perspective. Total number of cases here are not as low as Taiwan, and cases grew exponentially at one point of time here, but reached its peak quickly. Now, there are reports of only 1 or 2 daily new cases. Basically, they are the best example of flattening the curve, and there was no strict lockdown during the outbreak. In fact, they conducted an election a few weeks ago, and a number of nightclubs in Seoul reopened this week as they relaxed their social distancing measures. So, the reason of their success is tremendous contact tracing from the government. The government issued a mandatory policy for all the passengers arriving at the airport to install an app on their phones and fill out symptoms of coronavirus if they have any. And the app suggests if you are coronavirus suspect or not. And if you are a suspected case, the app will trace all the places that you have been to and share it with people within the app if you are in a 100-meter radius. The idea of the app is before a citizen decides to go out to a certain place, they can check on the app if there is any infected person within 100-meter radius of them. Good thing is that the app doesn't disclose your identity to protect your privacy.
Germany is another successful example where the number of active cases are in a decline. Unlike Taiwan, there was a strict lockdown in the country, and unlike South Korea, they did not use any contact tracing app. So why was Germany so successful? Because the government there is immensely efficient. Testing was conducted on a huge scale. Healthcare system and their infrastructure is one of the best around the world. And that is the reason why their death rate is one of the lowest. Moreover, their Prime Minister Angela Merkel was a scientist and a researcher in quantum chemistry. And that really plays an important role in understanding the pandemic situation better. In fact, Germany was ranked number 2 in the safest country against the coronavirus outbreak. And here's a list of 40 safest countries in the world against coronavirus.
New Zealand, one more successful inspiration who eliminated coronavirus. The country began mandatory quarantine for all visitors on March 15, one of the strictest policies in the world at that time, although there were only 6 cases. 10 days later, they initiated countrywide lockdown. Interesting thing about New Zealand is that the citizens simply got on board on day one of the lockdown, with empty streets, highways, and every single one stayed at home. People said it was easier for them to fall in line because they trust their leaders. And the plan seemed to have worked. And daily infection rate declined steadily from a maximum of 146 in mid-March to just one new case each day by mid-April. And finally, since April 26, there have been no new cases in New Zealand. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern lifted their lockdown on April 30th.
Now quickly recap how's the situation in the United States of America. As of right now, USA is the worst affected country in this pandemic, with more than 1.1 million confirmed cases and 65,000 deaths. Although the situation isn't as bad as mid-April, but it's still too early to say which direction we are going toward, because the curve is still not flat. Some regions are doing better than the other, and some states are seeing a steady drop in the new infections and already reopening. But we really want your thoughts in this situation, because on May 1st, just a few days after the lockdown was lifted from Georgia, there was 1,000 new cases. Do you think it's too early to lift the lockdown, or do you think otherwise? We agree that the United States is a much bigger country compared to all the other countries that we listed today. And we have 10 times their population. But there are still good techniques and strategies that we can learn from them. Bottom line here is to save lives and get back to our normal lives, not as soon as possible, but as efficiently as possible.
We hope you like this video. Please support us by liking and sharing this video with everyone. And subscribe to our channel. And please let us know your opinion in the comments below. And until then, stay safe and most importantly, stay curious.